Am I the asshole? For not wanting my wife to refer to me by my first name when talking to my kids. My wife recently started using my first name when referring to me to our preteen kids. As in Steve's gonna pick you up from school tomorrow. I asked her not to when I first heard it, saying I don't really like when you use my first name to the kids. Can you say your dad or dad? She said Steve is your name. I don't see the problem. But I eventually got her to see things my way. A couple months go by and I had heard her say it periodically. Like Steve can pick what to have for dinner. Finally today she did it again and I said, babe, I know we talked about it before. But can you please use your dad when talking to the kids? And she says it's totally subconscious. It's not like I mean to. You're probably going to have to remind me again like 50 times. At this point, I said that's not really acceptable. If you hear me and respect my wishes, it doesn't need an excuse or hedging. You can just say okay. She started getting upset, yelling and said I was being difficult and should just accept that she can't control it. I didn't think it needed a big discussion, and finally diffused the situation by saying sure. I believe you'll try. It just sounded like a cop-out for no reason. Setting us up for the same discussion sometime down the road. Am I the asshole? Here? Info. How is it that this suddenly started to happen? My parents have been divorced not even amicably for over 25 years. My parents still refer to each other as your mother and your father and not by one another's names when talking to us. It's weird she's calling you by your name in front of your kids. Not the asshole. Not the asshole up. Something is going on here. Well, why does she suddenly need reminding your dad? I mean, she used to call you dad. Could get petty and refer to her by her name, but I suspect that's not going to go well. Maybe something bigger is going on? You're not the asshole, but there is something not right here. So my husband and I had this exact same fight. It really was unconscious on my behalf. When he started calling me by my first name to the kids, I didn't even notice, which unfortunately frustrated him more. Lol. But once he pointed out what he was doing and how important it was to him to be called dad, I made a serious conscious effort to always call him dad, not the asshole. For all the folks thinking something else is going on, that's a reach. For me it was just laziness because there was so much else on my mind. Seriously. Info. I am the father of our kids. I don't think she's cheating. I have downvoted negative comments on here or speculation. We love each other. The main question was about her reaction to me doubling down. It could have been seen as a criticism. Like her best isn't good enough. But I called BS. Which she then took exception to. Was it an thing to not accept her explanation? I feel like the verdict is in. It's okay to stand up for how I want to be represented. I'm going to work on arriving at that without making her feel like she's not enough. Scissor. Edited for format. One up her and change your name to dad. Is this a cultural thing? Parents in my family use their spouse's first name often. I've never thought twice about it. And the kids certainly don't. Honestly, I have gotten off the phone with my mom and used my husband's name when talking to the kids right after. The kids, however, very quickly would say one of two things. You mean dad? Or who is Steve? He has done the same to me. This seems quite different though. A slip up when you have a lot on your mind seems very different than what is happening here. My husband has done it a bit more lately, but I know it's because he is stressed right now. His dad just got put on hospice, so he is a bit spacey. The phone thing was right after I was walking my mom through paperwork when my dad passed. Not the asshole. My dad's name is Bob. Never in my 50 years have I ever heard my mother say Bob will pick you up at the train. It's always Dad will. Her new habit is weird. And WHT's more annoying is you have asked her not to and she makes excuses whining that she can't. Which is BS. Why would she be doing that as a new behavior? Weird. Her excuses are weird too. Not the asshole. Go Saints. I do not get this. My sister's family is a yours, mine, ours thing, and their kids have gone through stages of calling each parent mom, dad, or the kid calling them by their first name. My nephew was raised by my sister and bro-in-law, his stepdad. He has never really called him dad ever, but acknowledges him as his father. My step-niece just recently, as of a few years, started calling my sister mom. Unless you're like a bio parent, then this seems weird. Otherwise, maybe it's just the stage the kids are in. Your wife? No clue. This seems fake. Not the asshole. In this household, my name is Mom and nothing else. I would want to know what's up if that suddenly changed after so many years. Not the asshole. Is your wife deliberately trying to get under your skin? Honestly, if it weren't for confusing the kids, I would do it right back to her and let her see how it feels. There's no way she isn't doing this on purpose. It's so counterintuitive and weird. Nah. People here are reading too much into it. It can get super uncomfortable to always refer to one's spouse as mom, dad. I bet mommy pig and daddy pig are in a sexless marriage. You keep saying you identify as their father. Do they have a bio father who has recently come back into their lives? Man, I'm 28 and still call my dad dad, and my mom still says your father. I think my mom has referred to my dad as Michael to me like 5 times in my life, and it was usually when she was mad at him. I'm disappointed at the paranoia of many of these comments. Our child has always called us by our names like the rest of the world, including our parents. Refers to us either by name or my mom, dad, but still loves and respects us as their parent without the sky falling or anyone being confused about our relationships. Nah. Op. You are in an adult relationship. Most of the people are either not or are the reason they aren't in one. If your kids still call you dad, why does it matter? You need to ask yourself why it is so important that your adult wife, who knows and uses your real person name, is not allowed to do that around your kids. I can see your complaints about her not respecting your wishes about something she only recently started doing. But I also understand where she is coming from, that it shouldn't matter. Unless you're the stepfather, who is frequently referred to by their name, but which you seemingly are not. This makes no sense. Not the asshole. Did she call her parents by their first names? Do your kids call her by her first name? This is just weird. A little shocked by all the responses here. I'm going with nah. It's annoying that she slips up, but it's also not crazy that she thinks about you as a person with a name. Your kids are growing up, I'm guessing, and she's going out of manic mom mode where she constantly translates the world to them. Not the asshole. She'd probably be pissed as hell if you ignored any boundaries she has. Why is she ignoring this simple request? She can control it since you said she's only started doing it recently. What has she said the last 10 years? That guy who lives with us will take you. She needs to respect your feelings and fucking try harder. Not the asshole. She's referred to you as dad their whole lives up until this point, I'm assuming. So what's her excuse for all of a sudden referring to you by your name? I call BS on her claiming she's been doing that for years. Otherwise your kids would have probably been calling you that instead of dad. Not the asshole. She isn't slipping up or forgetting. She only recently started using your given name. Presumably, in their younger years, she referred to you as dad around the kids. If she has trouble remembering, start referring to her as babe to the kids. I bet she'll start remembering soon enough.
Am I the arsehole? For redecorating my house and upsetting my husband's late wife's parents. My husband, formerly widowed, and I have been together for 3 years, married for 1. His late wife passed 7 years ago and they were high school sweethearts. My husband and I met a few years after she passed and we had a great relationship. His former in-laws also really liked me, although it seemed they were a little possessive about my husband and their daughter's memory, but I was considerate of their grief. So I didn't mind that much. I moved to my husband's home that he once shared with his late wife and sold the one I bought. Now, since I was his wife, we both wanted the house to reflect our shared memories, our life together and our shared tastes. We were very excited to renovate and redecorate our walls, the floors, and replaced all the furniture to complement the new decor. I am also friends with an interior decorator and we used the money I got from the sale of my old house towards redecorating our home. It was a very romantic experience in a way. We put up our photos, paintings that I drew, new nameplate and stuff. His late wife's parents were visiting town to see some of their grandkids from his late wife's brother who lives in the same city as us, and we invited them over for dinner. Immediately upon entering the home, their mood changed. The mother especially became very upset and almost aggressive. She started accusing me of erasing their daughter's memory. I tried to be understanding and told them that we both undertook this project together to reflect the life we share as a couple and that it was important for both of us to have a fresh start at life. She became increasingly livid and told me that it doesn't look like she even lives here. Why did you have to put the wedding photos away? At this point I've had enough. I told her that her daughter does not live here. We do. We are married and I'm so sorry she's gone and she is hurting, but this is my house too and we can make it look like however we wish. My husband and his former Phil tried to calm the situation down, but she ran away with tears in her eyes. I feel terrible that she was hurt, but is it really my fault? Am I not supposed to have a normal married life with my own husband? Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. I'm disappointed that you were fighting this battle when it should have been your husband who spoke to her. Many people who have second marriages choose to not move into a former home but instead buy a new one together where it is new for both of you. I think this would have worked better. Why were those people invited over? Not the asshole. It's normal to want your home to reflect your husband's life together and tastes. It's your home. On the flip side, it's also normal for someone to be upset when something their daughter was a part of is now gone. She went too far blaming you, but it's understandable she would be upset. It's not your fault though. It's something she just needs to work through. It's not fair for her to take it out on you though, as if you did something wrong. You're the asshole. When I first read your post I was on your side. Then I read your comments and they were crazy. You did not just redecorate, you pressured him into getting rid of anything that would remind him of her, including all photos. That's creepy and weird. Not the asshole. It's understandable that she'd be upset, but that's not on you. It was appropriate for you and your husband to redecorate. Give her some time. Hopefully she'll come to understand that the redecorating is no reflection on her daughter or the life she shared with your husband. It's possible she won't get over it, and they'll drift away from your husband, and that's okay, too. None of that is a reflection on you or your husband in any way. You're the asshole. I am shocked you won't allow him to visit her grave. If you died, wouldn't you want to be remembered? After reading OP comments here, I feel sorry for her husband's late wife's family. They would be best to go North Carolina with her, which I am sure would make her happy. You're the asshole. Your comments reveal you are rotten to your core. You're the asshole. This is personal. Let it go. Info: did your husband not give his former in-laws a heads up he was redecorating? Did his late wife's in-laws financially help them, as a couple, buy the house? If you both wanted a fresh start, why didn't your husband move into your house, or you both sell your homes, and buy a new one together? I was about to give you an out since you have a right to decorate your home, but then I read your responses. You're cold, possessive, emotionless. That man had a loved one die. He didn't get a divorce. He never stopped loving his deceased wife. He just learned to deal with the loss. It's quite unhealthy and odd to not have even one picture of the deceased loved one. It's like you're jealous of a dead person. You're the asshole. You're the asshole. Your comments are disgusting. You're the asshole based on your comments. Jesus Christ. FYI, she's not his ex-wife, no matter how hard you keep trying to compare this situation to a divorce. She's his first wife. I was going to say not the asshole, but based on your comments, I'm going to say you're the asshole. You're the asshole for your rule that there can't be anything from his life with her at all. Pretending like someone's late spouse didn't exist at all is messed up and totally an R thing to do. Let him have some freaking photos or mementos of the many years of his life that happened before you, jeez. Surprised by the number of not the asshole responses here. Op's wording gives away her attitude to her husband's deceased wife when she describes him as formerly widowed. No, he is still widowed, but is also remarried. Also, saying she didn't mind that much about the former in-law's grief. About their own daughter. What a prize. Op, your husband should have dealt with this discussion with his first wife's parents. But I expect their reaction is likely due to more info you haven't provided, and that they have had the impression for a while that you're trying to erase the memory of their daughter. You're the asshole. You're the asshole, based on comments, where the Lede has been buried. It's not healthy to try to eradicate all evidence of a previous marriage. I'm sure her husband has not forgotten the love of his life, but they have come to some sort of an agreement whereby there are no photos of her nor does he visit her grave. You're the asshole, and if I was Mill I'd question if the timeline you gave is truly factual. Imagine hating a dead person. Couldn't be me. You're the asshole for your comments below. Very odd. There's something not quite right in the tone of your thoughts about your husband and his deceased wife. Cold. Unfeeling. Robotic. Nothing wrong with redoing the house, but not even allowing one photo of his deceased wife is not healthy. Good Lord, read Op's comments before deciding. What relationship does she bear to him? Wife? No, that's me. He doesn't consider her an important part of his life anymore. To him, she feels like an old friend who died. Not the asshole. It's your home now, with your new husband. You were harassed and yelled at, so it's perfectly understandable that you lost your patience. Anyone would after some time. I do understand their pain and even what made them react how they did as they saw the house as a sanctuary of their daughter, and seeing it changed was a painful reminder of it. My suggestion is, when everyone calm down, and if your husband is okay with it, to give them some of her belongings, like wedding photos, or make copies of it for them. Based on this post? Not the asshole. Based on your actions? Not the asshole, but could be much more sensitive to grieving parents. Based on your other absurd comments in this thread? Definitely you're the asshole, and likely bullying your husband into repressing memories and affection for someone he once loved. After reading your comments, I'm going to say you're the asshole. You won't even allow him to visit her grave. If this marriage lasts, I'll be very surprised. You're the asshole. Do you love the drama and attention or something? Why are you meeting and spending time with your husband's late wife's family? Are you really wondering why it would be upsetting for parents to see their deceased child's husband remarried and her home fully redecorated? Like, why the FCK did you invite them over? When parents' children die, they typically will not even touch their room. It's too emotional. They will keep everything in its place forever. Don't invite a dead woman's parents over to her home that you erased her memory from after marrying her husband, and you won't have to worry about being an R. It's really that simple. Am I the asshole? For saying I don't want kids, I want money at the dinner table, and offending my sister? My sister has a 5-month-old baby. Her and her boyfriend are not struggling financially, but their standard of living has very much decreased since giving birth. They can afford the necessities, but they can't go on vacation, can't go out to eat and can't afford a babysitter. They also just moved into a cheaper apartment. My mom has been asking my sister and the baby to move in with her so they can save money. My sister said no. For more context, my sister's boyfriend makes a little less than minimum wage. He only works part-time at a restaurant to focus on creating his music. When my sister announced they were trying for a baby, my mom was really worried, and she's still worried about their financial situation. My sister is the primary income source for their household, and my mom has been giving them some money every month. I make a little more than my sister, but I don't have kids. So last night, all of us came together for dinner. My sister kept asking me when I'm going to have kids, and I said I don't plan on having kids. She said I'll change my mind, I'm almost 30. I said I probably won't, and she kept pressing me on why. I finally just said I don't want kids, I want money, and she got really quiet. When the dinner was over, she left a voicemail to my mom crying about how I attacked her, and my mom is mad at me. My mom wants me to apologize to my sister. To be clear, I do think my sister is in a nightmare situation, but I would have said I wanted money even if she didn't have a baby. I've always thought I'm not meant for parenthood, and I'd rather just be the cool, fun aunt that travels a lot and buys big presents for my nieces' nephews. I didn't mean to insult her, and I've never once commented on her financials or relationship because it's not my place. Am I the asshole? And should I apologize? Not the asshole. This is one of those things where context matters. If you were sitting at dinner and just randomly blurted out I don't want kids, I want money, that would be a nothing to say to your sister. But when she starts asking when you're gonna have kids, and especially when she refused to drop it, she's asking for a response like this. Not the asshole, she shouldn't have kept pushing you about having a baby once you had answered her. I hate it when people repeatedly force a question until you give them the answer they want. You don't have to justify not wanting kids to her. Not the asshole. Kids are expensive. You stated a fact. I have two. I'd rather have them than money, but I understand other people have different priorities. But I think your sister's question was obnoxious. It's wrong to ask someone when they're going to have a baby. Some people don't want children. Others struggle with infertility. Some people want to be married first. But the fact is that nothing could be less anyone else's business than another person's family planning. Not the asshole still reliant on mommy for money, throwing tantrums, and crying to mommy over nothing? So very mature enough to raise a child, good luck to that child, yikes. Hopefully she's not usually like this. She said I'll change my mind. The only parents who say this seem to be the ones who have some regrets. Nothing wrong with wanting money and not kids. Not the asshole. You were pressed and gave an honest answer about your preferred lifestyle. You did nothing wrong. Your sister did by pressing the question and then not liking the truthful answer. Not the asshole. Don't ask questions you don't want, answers you don't like to. Also, the whole gross pressuring to have kids thing is rude and obnoxious, and frankly people doing it should expect pushback, and for the person they're doing it to not to be very nice about it. It's a personal decision that someone else doesn't get to decide for you. Not the asshole. She asked. You answered. If she didn't want to hear the answer, she shouldn't have asked. If they can't afford a babysitter on a regular basis and can't afford to go out to eat, then how are they not financially struggling? Not the asshole. You told the truth and she couldn't handle it. She chose to press you on a personal topic instead of leaving well enough alone. That's her problem. Do not apologize. What would you even be apologizing for? Sorry, I am prioritizing financial security? No. Stand firm on your beliefs. The thing is, you have years to change your mind and decide to have kids. Adoption is always available. But there is not an undo button on bringing life into the world. It is infinitely better to err on the side of not wanting kids, than to resent your children all their lives. Explain to her that asking over and over about when are you gonna have kids is very annoying, but that you didn't mean to offend her and that you truly feel like you would rather focus on your finances than have a child, and she should respect that, just like you respect her choice to make sacrifices in order to have a child, and that you love your nephew or niece and yada yada yada. Not the asshole. As a 30-something who has never wanted kids and a woman, which makes it worse, I get so tired of "you'll change your mind." Anyone who is pushing you on this deserves a snarky response. I have kids and don't blame others who have decided not to have children. It's not for everyone. And yes, kids are expensive and do drain the finances. Personally, I think anyone who plans on falling pregnant without proper finances is crazy. Not the asshole. She asked you a question about you. You provided her with an answer that was about you. If you didn't make any statement about her personally, she has no right to be offended or even to take office. You don't owe any apology to your sister for honestly answering a question she asked you about you. In fact, your sister seems to be a bit spoiled, is overly emotional regarding something that isn't about her. Advise your mom of this. Tell her it's your sister who owes you an apology for continuously harassing you about your personal life, then whining to mom because she didn't like the answer. Not the asshole. Just because you were honest, and she had a kid with a loser so she feels bad about her life decisions, doesn't mean you're attacking her. Nata. Your sister can freak off. Kids are wonderful when you want them. However, there are sacrifices. Like finances. Your sister needs to back off. Asking about kids is not an appropriate response. She is lucky your mom is helping financially. She made a big mistake having a baby with this guy. No wonder she's so sensitive. Not the asshole. If your sister didn't want your answer, she shouldn't have so loudly and crassly demanded it. I'd ask your mum what she thinks you have to apologize for: your sister's disrespect, her rudeness, her arrogance, her insulting demeanor, or the fact that you answered a question your sister had no business asking. Not the asshole. She asked you, you answered. Then she asked again and again and again. I don't get why people do that. They're not going to miraculously like the answer the third or fourth time they ask. Not the asshole. Your sister is emotionally overwhelmed, sleep deprived, and she worries. She lashed out at you, but she's under a lot of stress. You two should calm down and let it drop. And no one is going to address the fact that this girl was harassing you about a very personal and individual choice. Your sister fucked around and found out. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I hate this so much. The only time I've ever felt bad about not wanting kids is when others made me feel bad about not feeling bad about not wanting them. Your sister made the decisions she did, and we hope they bring her joy. You are making the decisions that will bring you joy. She can be emotional now. She seems to be facing an increasing amount of instability with a partner that isn't prioritizing her and the child. That sucks, but she also seems to have had indicators that would happen. Not the asshole. And I think I've said nearly the same thing myself. Smiley face. Your sister was being rude, not dropping the subject. You merely gave her a definitive answer that stopped the line of questioning. Woman shrugging. Not the asshole. But your sister is. Questions on people starting a family is very personal. Ask once, then STFU. Are you even in the type of a relationship that would make her think that you are interested in starting a family? To quote Homer Simpson. Oh, I have 3 kids and no money. Why can't I have no kids and 3 money? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. She should have respected it the first time you said you didn't want kids. Moreover, your reason is not really a personal attack. She just took it that way cause she's hyper aware of how poorly prepared financially she was to have a kid.
Am I the asshole for not wanting to be near a screaming baby while having drinks? A friend and I went to happy hour on Thursday to a brewery for drinks. We got a table, and as we walked up, there was a baby at the next table. He is eating some mac and cheese and just yelling "awawawa" over and over in the minute we were near the baby. He seemed happy. But I don't like babies yelling, crying, or really making noise. It really bothers me. I asked my friend if she wanted to move tables and I told her I didn't want to be near a yelling baby. She says no. She thought the baby was cute and funny. She said happy babies making noise like that is the best. I told her I'd really like to move. I expressed that babies shouldn't be here. I know if this baby kept yelling, I wasn't going to enjoy myself. She says I don't know why it bothers me so much. She told me to not be an asshole. It's just a happy baby. I started gathering my things and told her I was leaving. I thought she was being very inconsiderate of how I felt. So I just left. Nah. She doesn't care about the noises a toddler makes and you do. You couldn't come to an agreement. If your intentions are to be surrounded only adults and drink liquor, I'd meet her at a bar as most. If not all breweries are family friendly. Nah. It's fine if you didn't want to sit there. It's fine that she didn't want to move. And it was a toddler. Not a baby. Babies don't eat mac and cheese. For the record, babies and toddlers like all other people make noise. Not the asshole. I wouldn't want to be near a screaming baby. Either. You have choices and you made one. If she was enjoying being in the baby's presence and wished to stay, that doesn't make her an asshole. You left because you'd find more enjoyment elsewhere. That doesn't make you an asshole either. Babies and toddlers make noise. Especially in a busy environment like that, you would still hear them even if you switched seats. Nah, just difference of enjoyment. You are pushing it by saying babies shouldn't be there. That's absolutely not your call, and it seems that it's a family-friendly place, not an adult-only. I would recommend going to an actual bar or other adult-only venues in future instead to avoid this. Nah, you each had different baby sound tolerance. A lot of breweries can be family-friendly. Most of the ones in my town are. Also, people in general make noise. Not just babies. Not the asshole. Seems like such a low-key request to move away from a baby making loud happy noises. Plus you were there for happy hour and I could see how that might kill the vibe. Don't blame you for leaving. Not the asshole for not wanting to listen to an annoying kid or any other person sitting nearby. The only people who have an issue with you are parents who know that their kid is annoying as fuck. And don't want to take accountability for their choices. Not the asshole. I have children and don't want to hear babies at a drinking establishment. I'm there for adult time. But your friend clearly has no respect for you, and that's kids' parents definitely are. WTF are people taking kids to breweries and bars like it's okay? That is exactly where adults go to escape children. Not the asshole. I don't want to be around screaming babies even if it's my baby. Not the asshole. You were seated near to something that bothered you. You wanted to move to where the auditory environment would be more pleasing to you. You didn't try to have the kid and their designate caregiver removed. Or make rude comments to them. You wanted to remove yourself from the immediate vicinity. It was a small enough request to make of your friend. Not the asshole. Babies are sensory nightmares for some people, including me. Nah. I wouldn't want to be near a screaming baby. Don't know why your friend would. But I'd probably leave. Not the asshole. I have 3 kids and listen to those fuckers yell all day, so when I go out for meals or drinks, last thing I want to hear is someone else's little asshole screaming in my ear. Not the asshole. I'm a mom of 4 kids and I would not want to hear that when I am trying to enjoy myself with my friends. The point, though, isn't whether or not the baby should be there or even if the noises were annoying. The point is that there was something that clearly bothered you and your friend didn't give a shit. Not the asshole, but your friend is a bit of one for not being willing to move so you were more comfortable. The parent and baby in this story are not the assholes either. Whether a baby belongs at a brewery or whether happy baby noises are inherently annoying are red herrings here. Op found the noise annoying, and even if her friend didn't personally, it would have cost her nothing to just move with Op. It's obnoxious to lecture someone else about what noises they should and should not find grating. Why would you even want to hang out with someone, knowing that they are sitting there in discomfort? I say this as someone with 2 kids who has brought them both to child-friendly breweries. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I often ask to move tables even if I'm just around a bunch of kids who are being loud and obnoxious. I get easily overstimulated by noise. And loud background noise is a lot different than random kids' toddlers screaming noise. Recently I did this when I was at an upscale-ish pizza place and a kids' baseball team came in and was seated next to me and my friend. We tipped generously. Also, I think your friend dismissing your desire to be away from the noise is kind of a DCK move. Friends should generally be amenable to and sensitive toward their friends' needs, not brushing them off or telling them it's no big deal. You're the asshole. Mostly for expressing that babies shouldn't be here. It's a brewery, not a bar. Almost all breweries I've ever seen are family friendly. Not the asshole. You asked her nicely to move away from something that irritated you. She refused. In my opinion, regardless of what the source of the irritation is, when one's date asks to move away from it, one should simply do that. No one should have to be unnecessarily irritated while out trying to enjoy their time with a date. NTA. You should be forced to listen to STH you find unpleasant if you can help it. Moving tables would be so easy, but her friend didn't give a shit at you enough to bother. Not the asshole. You're allowed to have feelings and express them. Your friend is an for gaslighting you and minimizing your feelings. Moving tables isn't a heavy lift. Your friend sucks. I moved tables once in a restaurant because a guy at the table next to me was chewing with his mouth open. The absence of a loud baby wasn't going to ruin your friend's night, but the presence of it would ruin yours. I'm of the belief that if someone is bothered by something, it overrides someone enjoying not caring about something. She should have moved for you. Not the asshole. You're the asshole. Breweries that have restaurants and serve food are for families too. They are not meant to be bars. If you don't want children around, don't go to a restaurant. Go to a club or a bar. You're the asshole. There was no screaming baby in your story. There was simply a baby babbling. Your tolerance levels are ridiculously low. Your friend should have just moved tables. It's not a big deal, but you up and leaving is weird, and if I had been your friend, I would probably never make plans with you again and would think you were nuts. Not the asshole. You offered an option. She didn't like it, so you left. Her being mad about it and inconsiderate of your very clear feelings makes her an Not the asshole. Not like you told the parents to make their baby shut the hell up, which would be pretty rude. You just acted like an adult and said, hey, let's just move. You're definitely not an asshole here. Not the asshole. Babies are annoying ASF sometimes, and I wouldn't want to be sitting near one either when trying to have drinks. Sorry, woman shrugging, light skin tone. Not the asshole. You weren't comfortable, you left. No problem. Not the asshole. You can choose to not be around a noisy baby. A baby of any kind at happy hour seems a bit odd anyway. Leaving was the choice for you. Am I the asshole? For insisting a final wish of my late wife be honored over her mother's objection? My wife of 11 years together for 19 unexpectedly passed away in her sleep recently at aged 45. She had no known health problems and results are still pending. About 4 months ago, we unofficially separated. Nothing legal. She got her own apartment. We were still very civil. It was 100 my fault. I have severe depression and anxiety plus ADHD and recently diagnosed as being on the autism spectrum. She had to get away. Fortunately, I got a therapist and someone to manage my meds, and I really feel I'm on the right road, long road to walk, but right road. She had always kept the door open to possibly reconciling in the future if my mental health improved. Just ran out of time. There were a few things we discussed over the years about her final wishes. One had to do with her sorority pin. It seems like a small deal, but she was 100% certain she wanted to follow all their traditions. One of which is sending the pin back to headquarters after the service. Her mother is totally against this and wants to keep it. She doesn't even want to display it the correct way at the service. Since we were unofficially separated, I am still then next of kin, so technically I have all the decision-making power. I am putting my foot down on this and demanding we respect her final wishes. I'm willing to compromise on other items, but the ones that we discussed, and I'm 100% sure what her wishes are. I am not. I am being called an asshole for try to override a grieving mother. So, am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Sorry for you loss. If it was important enough for your late wife to specify this request from you, then it's your responsibility to handle it for her. You can give her mother her graduation cap and gown, or pictures, whatever, but this was something she felt strongly enough about to tell you and ask you to do this for her. It would be kind and respectful for you to follow her last wishes. Not the asshole. Honoring your late wife's final wishes is the most respectful and loving thing you can do. My heartfelt condolences. Not the asshole. Very sorry for your loss. Honoring your wife's wishes shows that you love and respect her. I'm not sure how this would make you an Also, it seems like you are being mindful that her mother is going through an unbearable loss right now. Would it still be honoring your wife's wishes to keep the pin for the time being and return it at a later date when emotions aren't so raw? Not the asshole. Legally and morally right here. Not the asshole. Technically the pin is the property of the organization. Most sororities dictate the pin must be returned, buried with the decedent, and properly placed or passed down to a legacy member. Not the asshole. Sorry for your loss, Op. Not the asshole. People like your mill are why I wrote down my wishes after death. And why I double signed up to be an organ donor despite having an opted in until you opt out system in the UK. I understand grief makes people do silly things and keep mementos, however, if it was important enough for your late wife to mention it, it must be done. Not the asshole. Good on you for looking out for your late wife's wishes. If that's what she wanted, then that should be the final say. You're doing what her daughter made clear she wanted. It's not ambiguous or open to interpretation. It's what she very clearly laid out. There is just an awful situation. I understand feeling honor bound to carry through her wishes. However, given your relationship status, if it were me, I'd probably concede to the mother. But cannot emphasize enough that nobody should be called an asshole here. Funny. You made it too easy. I can tell you who you are and who your legally separated wife was. X200B. You're the asshole. You're playing one side, relying on people not knowing what really happened. Not the asshole. I'm sorry for your loss. Odd question. Thought, does the sorority have like memorial pins? That way, your mill can still have a pin in honor of her daughter. And your wife's last wishes can be honored. Not the asshole. Could you take a photo of the pin for mill before sending it back to the sorority? Info. Do you have kids? What do they say? Not the asshole. Sorority pins can only be buried with the member, sent back or passed to a legacy. It was in the oath she took joining. Not the asshole. Does your wife have a sorority sister friend that could help explain and verify the tradition of returning the pin? They might even have a special ceremony for retiring the pin that the mother could participate in. My sorority also requests pins be returned to HQ when a person dies. They aren't reused. I think they are archived and maybe some are on display. Even though you were unofficially separated, I don't believe that grieving mother trumps grieving spouse. You know what she wanted done with the pin. You are the one that gets to decide. You do what you feel is right. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You're honoring her wishes. I'm so sorry for your loss. Is there a local chapter of her sorority in town? Anyone that you can reach out to advise you on what to do when a member dies? Aside from that, maybe some of her sisters or a representative from the sorority might want to attend the funeral. Not the asshole for wanting to honor wife's wishes, but please be kind to her grieving parents. I saw someone mention to take a picture of the pin and have it specially framed with cloth or something. That is a very sweet gesture and I'm sure you Mill would appreciate it. My mom passed last year and I can't bring myself to throw anything away. Everything seems to hold such sentimental value to me. So, please give your Mill some grace. Not the asshole. Societal customs and laws deem you as the person who makes this decision. I agree it's the right decision. Unless, of course, the reason you send the pin back is so that they can sell it to somebody else. Then that's just greedy and icky. Not the asshole. Grieving mother does not get to override dead daughter's wishes or the person left to enforce them. Anyone who thinks anyways is TA. You're the asshole because you're trying to do the right thing. But her mom is still around to be hurt by this. Mementos are how the living stay connected to the departed. I think the fact that your wife left you should have some bearing on how we interpret your proper standing. You are taking advantage of the situation. I would give the pin to her with the understanding that she wear it at the service and that one day, maybe in a year, she'll be ready to send it back to the sorority. That day may come or it may not. But it's too soon now. Not the asshole. Sorry for your loss. Don't let your Mill take that pin home with her after the service. If she does that, you will never see it again. She wants it on the memento table because it will be easier for her to remove it and take it home with her. If the pin is on your late wife, Mill will have a harder time getting her hands on it. Tell the funeral home that Mill is to not be given any of your wife's jewelry, including the pin, when the time comes for them to prep her for cremation. Instruct them to contact you even if Mill says you okayed it. Sorry for your loss, but she is gone. She's not gonna know one way or the other. Her mother, on the other hand, has lost her child and it could help her to move on. It's a sorority pin, not a wedding ring. YTA. I'm from the UK though, and sororities have always seemed a bit ridiculous tbh. Nah. So sorry for your loss. Tell Mill you still love your wife. And that is why honoring her wish is so important to you. Cry together. Not the asshole. I'm sorry for your loss and your situation. I'm adding in my perspective as a person who is unofficially separated, legally still married, but have been completely apart for half a decade. Part of why I'm not rushing for a legal divorce is that I'm aware that my ex-spouse knows about and will follow my final wishes, where anyone else who would be next of kin would not.
Am I the asshole for being firm with my teenage half-sibling in Facebook DMs? I have been estranged from my father since I was 17, when I moved several states away to be with my grandparents. This was a decision made by him after the death of my twin sister. Our mom died when we were 7 and dad picked us both up and moved us so we could start afresh. He started dating one of our teachers within weeks of our move and they married and had more kids. When my sister was 15, she was diagnosed with cancer and she died after 2 years of fighting to stay alive. The last time she went into the hospital, she told the nurses she only wanted me, our dad or our grandparents to see her, and she did not want to see our dad's wife or the other kids. When Dad heard this, he decided we would not go to see her. I argued against his decision. He said our half-siblings wanted to be there and would always remember being denied the chance to say goodbye. I argued that the oldest two would remember at 8 and 7. But the others were 4 and younger and would not. I also said her final few days or weeks were about my sister and nobody else. He still refused, and I told him I would never forgive him if he kept me from my sister, my real sister, the one I came into this world with and was supposed to have for my whole life at my side. He relented and I went every day until she died. My father said my actions meant I could not live there anymore or have contact with his family. He said he knew I didn't care and that I was going back with my grandparents. That was the last time I saw or spoke to any of them. I had a baby a few weeks ago. I named her after my sister's favorite flower. It seemed like a better way to honor my sister and give my daughter her own name. I posted about the story behind her name on Facebook, and then my half-sister, who would be 16 now, contacted me on some random account and said I should not be naming my daughter after that girl, and did I not think about the fact it will alienate my daughter from her family because my sister is a painful memory for her and her family now. I sat on the DM for a few days and then I replied firmly that I did not care about their feelings and they would not be around my daughter. I said I have every right to honor my sister and to please stay away from my Facebook page, which we're not friends on anyway, if she is bothered. I had to go private after this because I was inundated with messages from her and my half-brother who said I was an ass and cruel. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole, but your father is a horrible one. He should have honored your sister's last wishes and supported her. Please try to remember that your half-siblings have been fed a diet of vitriol their entire lives and shouldn't be held responsible for their very skewed beliefs. That doesn't mean that you need to be open to them, so block away. Congratulations on your new little one, and I love how you honored your sister with the name. Firstly, sorry for your loss and the way you've been treated, but congrats on the baby. Secondly, obvious not the asshole, she's your daughter and her name is nothing to do with them. The fact they didn't see it as an opportunity to reconnect is a worrying sign of what your dad and stepmother have been saying all these years. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Your father was cruel and heartless during the worst time of your life. Not the asshole, of course. You did the right thing by stopping this circus right away. Your half-sister only sent you one message and it was a hateful one, which says a lot about what your life would be like with them. Congratulations on your daughter, you've given her a name with a beautiful meaning and it's a very nice gesture to honor your sister. Not the asshole. I'm so sorry for everything you've had to deal with and your father's absolutely disgusting behavior. This isn't your family, they have made that clear. Congratulations on your daughter. I think it's an absolutely beautiful way to honor your sister. Wishing you all the happiness. Not the asshole. What are they doing stalking your FB page anyway? Not the asshole, but your family are massive holes. They alienated themselves when they put their desires over the desires of your dying teenage sister. They are selfish and have no respect for you or your sister. It's probably good your dad made you leave because he and his other kids and wife sound toxic and mean. Congratulations on your daughter. I'm sure your sister would be honored her niece's name is in her honor. I had a baby a few weeks ago. I named her after my sister's favorite flower. It seemed like a better way to honor my sister and give my daughter her own name. This is a wonderful way to honor your sister's memory. Not the asshole, and I agree that you should protect your daughter from these toxic people. Not the asshole. Jesus fucking Christ, your sperm donor is a piece of work. So your dad and new family decided that your sister's cancer and death was about them? And they are still holding on to this BS? My dear woman, remove them from your thoughts. Honor your sister in all the ways you want to as her sister, and raise your daughter to be the kind human you have become in spite of every reason in the world to be bitter. Not the asshole. You are the kind of person I would be proud to call my family. I'm sorry they don't see that. Their loss. You're not the asshole. People that make a tragic teenage death all about themselves are absolutely disgusting. Your sister is a painful memory for them. And your baby simply being named after a flower she loved is a trigger for them. They can fuck right off. She was your damn twin. And the way your father can throw away and replace family like that is also sick. I'm sorry for your losses. You will never be the arsehole over people that literally made a child's death into their own drama. It will alienate my daughter from her family. Lol, what? You were already no contact, what family is left to alienate? I wish there was a way that you could allow them to keep seeing your posts but block their messages and comments, cause seeing you continue to post about your daughter while you ignored them would probably drive them nuts. Not the asshole. Fuck them. Fuck all of them. The biggest R here, aside from cancer, is 100 your father. No real parent would ever try to be so cruel, or to teach their children how to be so cruel. Case in point, the message from the 16-year-old. Don't let them into your mind or your life. They're not worth the oxygen it takes to breathe angrily. Not the asshole. I'm so sorry for your loss. Your daughter's name is a tribute to one you loved. That's what matters most. Not the asshole, but your father is one heck of an R, especially for not respecting one of your sister's last wishes. So sorry you went through all that. Your half-sibling's behavior sounds like a projection of your father's and stepmom's for sure. Plus, it's none of their GD business what you're naming your child. Congratulations BTW, 2 hearts. Not the asshole. I'm sorry for your losses, your mother, your sister and the one who once was your father but isn't anymore. Just block all the former relatives, try to forget about them. They don't have any right to your life, your story or your family. I'm so sorry. I lost my brother when I was 16. His first name is my son's middle. I would really struggle if someone came and gave me any hassle about that. Not the asshole. Block. Block them all. Congratulations on your daughter 20. Not the asshole. Honestly, your Facebook should be private anyway because any sort of bot can lift those photos of your baby and use them for advertisements. I've read stories about moms finding family pages featuring their own children. Not the asshole. But your dad and stepmom are major R. If I was up I would tell half-sister tell me how she will feel if her mom died tomorrow and dad started dating one of your teachers within weeks of her being dead. Not the asshole. I'm so sorry, your father is the cruel one and you deserved better. The audacity of your half-sibling is astounding. Not the asshole. Said I should not be naming my daughter after that girl, and did I not think about the fact it will alienate my daughter from her family? The answer here should have been what family? I had a baby a few weeks ago. I named her after my sister's favorite flower. It seemed like a better way to honor my sister and give my daughter her own name. This is absolutely beautiful and a lovely idea. Not the asshole. Your step-siblings are so far over the line they can't even see it anymore. Forget them and enjoy your beautiful daughter. Not the asshole. What?
Am I the asshole for asking a stranger to tone down her conversation in front of my kid? For context, we live in the southeastern U.S. Today my son asked to go to Waffle House for lunch to celebrate an achievement. My husband, son, and I sat in a booth adjacent to 3 late 20s early 30s women who had just sat down before us, with my back to their booth and my son and husband across from me. We ordered and are enjoying our food, and they are having an energetic conversation behind us. Not crazy loud, but loud enough for the 3 of us to hear them. And for me to cringe every time the woman facing our table dropped the F-bomb. After a while, I became uncomfortable with my kiddo hearing this conversation. I turned around in my seat and quietly asked them to please stop saying F in front of my son. The woman facing our table leaned forward and asked me to repeat myself. I did. She then responds that we are in a public place and that she has kids too. Then as this was happening, the waitress serving both our tables came by to check on them. And she complained to the waitress that I was being rude. I turned back to my table, requested to-go boxes from the waitress, and didn't say anything further to the party behind me. I could certainly hear them talking about how offended they were, and commenting that next time we should go to IHOP. I guess because it's more family-friendly? I was flabbergasted. I was expecting them to laugh it off, not get prickly that I had the audacity to make such a request. Am I the asshole? You're the asshole. The fact that you were upset over a few fucks being said in a conversation, which is the tamest thing you will ever see here at a Waffle House. Your child is going to hear people cuss, that's just part of life. And they had every right to be offended. You bothered them for no reason. You're the asshole. It's awful, Waffle. You're lucky if 1/3 of the clientele in there is sober. Just ask to be moved if it's that bothersome. You're the asshole. You did have the audacity though. You don't have the right to police other people's conversations. If you don't like it, then you leave. That is the only acceptable solution. Imagine being so entitled that you think you can tell others how to talk in public. You're the asshole. It's not appropriate to criticize people's language in public. It's just a word. Your child will be okay. You're the asshole. Yeah, I wouldn't be cool with a stranger trying to police my language in public either. If you want to protect your kids' ears, don't take them to Hangover Central. Ma'am, this is Waffle House. ETA, you're the asshole. You're the asshole. When you take your kids in public, you should expect others to be existing in public. Just because you have your kids with you doesn't mean everyone else needs to change their behavior. ETA, I say this as a parent. You're the asshole. To criticize others' language in public is very annoying. Sometimes it feels very insulting when pointed out by random strangers. Don't use FK, really? They aren't bound to behave just because you have a child. And as you stated yourself, they weren't being crazy loud and disturbing others. You just happened to be seated beside them. You're the asshole. The world does not have to stop and censor itself for your son. It is absolutely ridiculous of you to go around playing language police in a public place. And to other adults, who do you think you are? You could have skipped the drama and just grabbed those to-go boxes without a word if it bothered you so much. That's really all you have a right to do in this situation. You're the asshole. They were already seated when you chose to sit near them. Life's reality is that people are going to have conversations while dining in public and no one can predict it. If you worry about what your child will hear, sit away from people. You're the asshole. You interrupted their conversation. It's just a word. If you were uncomfortable, you should have moved your family. You're the asshole. As I tell my kids, different people have different rules and we just worry about ourselves. If you have a rule to not curse in front of your children, that's fine. But others don't have to accommodate that. You should have asked for a different table if it bothered you that much. Why would you expect them to laugh it off? That's a weird thought to have. You're the asshole. Not because you didn't want them dropping F-bombs around your kid, but because you thought it would be a good idea to tell other adults how to behave while in a Waffle House. Like that could have been an actual fight on your hands. IDK, what is Waffle House? But you're the asshole. It's a public place, and if you were offended by their conversation, you could ask the waiter if you and your family could move to other table. Your first mistake is thinking Waffle House is a treat or place to celebrate rolling on the floor laughing rolling on the floor laughing rolling on the floor laughing. You can't police what people say. I used to tell my kids you will hear these certain words but I don't expect to hear you repeat them. Honestly, they heard worse on the playground. I care about the atmosphere where I choose to eat. I haven't been in a Waffle House since the 80s. And it appears that may be a trend to follow. Honestly nah. It's fucking Waffle House. Half of the fight videos on the internet are from Waffle House. You aren't an ass for asking, but what you did was basically walk into a strip club and ask a stripper not to strip. Haha, I can't believe all the responses here. I fucking love to curse and I'm going to raise my kids to curse properly and make sure they know where it's inappropriate. But even still, you're not the asshole just for asking for someone to rein it in a bit. They can say no, but just asking isn't an asshole move. WTF lol. Not the asshole. I swear like a sailor, but I moderate in public regardless of whether I'm at Buck House or the Waffle House. You're the asshole. Waffle House is known for fights, brawls breaking out. And you're okay with taking your kid there knowing that. But your kid will suffer irreparable harm from someone saying fuck. Is that right? You're the asshole. Your 8-year-old has both heard and said fuck more times than you can count. Mind your business in public. You're the asshole. Sorry. In public places. You have no right to control what comes out of people's mouths. Don't like it? Take your kid and leave. Like, I don't like crying babies or noisy children on airplanes. Literally. The last flight I was on, the 3-year-old girl was banging her tray table up and down. Do I have a right to tell her parents to make her stop? Nope. But do I have a right to give death glares? Damn right I do. And they got the hint. Not the asshole. There's no harm in asking, and I'm surprised people are calling you the asshole for this. She's not obligated to stop either. But it's always weird to me how offended people get when asked to make other people's lives more comfortable at little expense to their own comfort. Another entitled parent who thinks the world should revolve around their kid. You're in the friggin' Waffle House. You want church behavior? Go to your local diner. YTA. Not the asshole. You have as much right to ask ugly talking people to tone it down as they have to say no. They were likely embarrassed by your request to be civil in public. And responded like adolescents in behavior. Not the asshole. It was fine to ask politely. Lol, one time a mom flipped out on my friend for using the F word in convo. He said, "Listen, lady, I just said a word. You're the one teaching him right now that it's a bad fun word." I think describing words as bombs is worse than saying fuck or cunt. Bombs maim and kill. Not the asshole. It was lunchtime, not 2 a.m. I'm going to go against the others here and say you're not the asshole. You were just advocating for your child. You asked nicely. And you didn't cause a scene. It's really not a big deal. People get so upset sometimes. Am I the asshole for not immediately visiting my boyfriend in hospital after a fight? I have been with my boyfriend Liam for 2 years. Generally, we're in a very happy relationship and we barely ever disagree on important matters. Meaning that in those 2 years, I can't remember even one significant fight. That was until a few days ago. I barely even remember what it was that we were arguing about. But it escalated, and at one point, we were both speaking with raised voices. Not quite screaming, but close enough. The one thing I remember very clearly is how he told me to get out before he did something he'd regret. I don't think he was genuinely going to hurt me. But in that moment, those words did something to me and I just grabbed my phone and took off. I called my best friend Daisy, who was kind enough to come pick me up and took me to her flat. She told me that maybe spending the night away from each other wasn't the worst idea to give both of us time to think about what had happened and advised me to not make any decisions in the heat of the moment. I texted Liam to please not worry, that I was safe with Daisy and would be spending the night at hers. I asked him to please give me some time to think, but said that I'd be ready to talk the next day and that I loved him. I turned off my phone without waiting for an answer, and the rest of the night was relatively uneventful, with me nodding off on the couch at some point. The next morning, I woke up and turned on my phone to be faced with missed calls and messages from Liam, his best friend, and his brother. Apparently, after my message, he had taken off after me and had run a red light, resulting him to collide with another car. Luckily, both my boyfriend and the other driver got away with concussions and a few bruises. After I had read those messages, Daisy took me to the hospital and I went to check on Liam, who was doing all right considering the circumstances. We had a bit of admittedly tense small talk, and then, seemingly out of the blue, he told me that none of this would have happened if I had just acted like an adult. Let us say our conversation didn't get less tense from this point on. Daisy tried to tell me that it wasn't my fault, as I couldn't have known he was going to follow me. And Liam's brother agreed with her and tried to console me. It's my boyfriend and his best friend who have been telling me that running away was an move, and that I was immature for turning off my phone and blocking him out, causing him to go after me and get into the accident. Edit spelling. Not the asshole. He literally told you to leave in an arguably threatening manner. To boot, you did, and asked him for space. He then made the choice to pursue contradicting what he told you to do and failing to respect your need for space for the night and to break the law while doing so. Now he's trying to put the fault for his choices on you? Yeah. No. He's completely the asshole. Not the asshole. Liam's behavior towards you is abusive, blaming you for the accident instead of taking responsibility and admitting he was too angry to drive is the height of controlling and abusive behavior. Also, don't underestimate threats of violence. Generally, when people threaten violence, they mean it. You had a fight with your BF. Is escalated to where he told you to leave. You left. You told him you were safe. You would be ready to talk to him the next day. He is the one you pursued you while in an emotionally charged state. He ran the red light. This is on him and not you. The fact that is trying to blame you after the fact indicates he does not like to take responsibility for his own actions. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Liam basically threatened your life. You didn't know he would get into an accident. Also, the fact that he was going after you kind of alarms me, tbh. Get out of this relationship. He has already warned you about who he is and will do. Not the asshole. He asked you to get out and then he said running away? He had run a red light and now he's blaming you for his accident? He's the one who's immature here. And his behavior is childish and ridiculous. Yes. It's a red flag. The only behavior you can be responsible for is your own. Telling you it's all your fault is a self-serving, childish lie and the kind of thing abusers tell their victims. Maybe he's not an abuser, but his behavior sends those signals. Do not be an asshole to yourself and ignore this. Not the asshole. By the age of 28, most men have outgrown that sort of idiotic, childish, and irresponsible behavior. Your BF needs to grow up and stop blaming everybody else for his bad choices. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You told him you were safe, then blocked him so you could have the space and time you needed to think. Just like you had already told him you needed. Him doing the stupid chase thing was his choice and the consequences are not your fault. Not the asshole. H threatened you. He told me to get out before he did something he'd regret. Then he's blaming you because he was a reckless driver? 2 years or 2 months together, this is still a major red flag. Not the asshole. You were literally doing what he told you to do. 1 minute he's telling you to get out before he did something he'd regret. Location flag, location flag, location flag. And now he's mad at you for running away? He sounds unstable at best. I hope you're realizing that Liam is bad news. Not the asshole. You were threatened and made the smart move by leaving. You're not responsible for him chasing after you. And you're not responsible for him driving recklessly. Domestic abuse is extremely serious. Even if he wasn't going to do anything. And you don't really know if that's true or not. The fact that he threatened you is still abuse. You didn't run away, you were told to leave. Not the asshole. Red flags, many red flags. Location flag, location flag, location flag, location flag, location flag. He threatened you. You quite properly went to a safe place. He then drove recklessly and got hurt. And then had the stones to try to blame you. You need to entirely disengage with him and get as far away from this relationship as you can. Please keep yourself safe. This man will hurt you if you don't leave. You are not the asshole. You are in danger. Please get away. Not the asshole. You aren't responsible for him. Period. There were some serious fights during my marriage. Not many, but there have been. It's married life. Moving away before the situation escalates is often the best solution. The quarrel stops and the 2 parties have time to diffuse. You did the best thing. And then your boyfriend told you to. Blaming yourself for the incident is wrong. And it looks like you guys will have a lot to talk about in the near future. Not the asshole. Boy, run the next time. He might beat you, so that you can't run. Not the asshole. So what's happening here is your boyfriend threatened you get out before he did something he would regret. You left to a safe place and let him know you were safe when you got there. He, in the same rage where he threatened you, got into his car to follow you, ran a red light and is now placing the blame on you. Darling, this is not a healthy relationship. Leave before his threats become reality. Not the asshole, and frankly his behavior is super concerning. His original threat, and then his completely irrational behavior to chase you to the point he's driving recklessly and causing an accident, then blaming you? This went from a fight to him showing very concerning abusive behavior. The one thing I remember very clearly is how he told me to get out before he did something he'd regret. When people show you who they are, believe them. Why are you with him? He followed you in blind rage to hurt you, possibly kill you. You need to get your stuff while he's still in the hospital and get away. Not the asshole for anything. You're the asshole to yourself if you stay. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole? Because I don't want to name my son after my Phil? My husband and I are expecting a baby boy in 3 months. The issue started when my Phil passed away 2 months ago. My husband, who was very close to having split up with Arthur's father shortly after having her second child, who was born with a severe disability, and she was struggled mentally and practically, which meant Arthur's care was falling by the wayside. Our parents stepped in and we all agreed that my husband and I would take custody of him. It was meant to be temporary. But after a year, Gia formally signed over her rights and my husband, Arthur, my daughter and I moved abroad. 1.5-hour flight from Gia. Arthur visits his mother in school holidays and Gia comes out to visit us in the summer and at Christmas. Gia has worked very hard to rebuild her life and now has a fiancé and a third child. Over the past year, Arthur has been putting up more of a fight about going to visit Gia. He says he wants to see his friends during holidays and do more sports. He competes in go-karting. He also says he doesn't like going to Gia's because he doesn't have his own space there. Has much less freedom. Doesn't like the food, activities, etc. I do understand, but at the same time I've always said it's important that he sees his mother. This came up again when I was making plans for half-term and Arthur asked if he could skip his trip to see his mother. He said going to Gia's place just feels like he's being punished for not being our bio child. He said he just wants to stay home like his sister, my daughter. This absolutely broke my heart. I love Arthur just the same as I love my daughter, and the thought he would feel singled out in any way she tore me to pieces. I talked it over with my husband and we decided that we wouldn't force Arthur to go. Gia is furious. She called me all sorts of horrible things. Accused me of pressuring her to give up custody of Arthur. This didn't happen, and stealing her baby again. Not true. She berated me for letting him call me mom. For turning our parents against her. For turning her son into a spoiled brat who looks down on her. Eventually she said if I didn't make him come and visit she would sue me for custody of him. I've spoken to a lawyer who says there is next to no chance that a judge would give custody back to Gia. The parents' mother and Gia's father think I should retain custody of Arthur, but that I should still make sure he is visiting Gia, at least for the next couple of years, as he is too young to realize the impact not having any bond with her will be, and he can decide that when he's older. My husband and I are just trying to do right by Arthur. I don't want him feeling like we don't take his opinion into account. But at the same time I don't want to put him through the stress of a legal battle over all this. And I believe Gia when she said she'll start suing for custody, even if she won't win. So am I the asshole for not making him go? Not the asshole. She signed over her rights, so that will be impossible for her to regain custody. He's basically a teenager and he sees things over at his mom's that he doesn't like. He doesn't have his own space. He probably feels like an outsider, etc. Sit him down and have a serious talk with him. Ask him why. What happens when he goes over there, etc. Get him to go in detail. If doesn't want to go, don't make him. It's up to his mother to fix her bond with your nephew, not him. He's a child. The thing that jumps out at me is he so clearly sees himself as yours. He doesn't want to be sent away. It makes him feel like he isn't your child. I can't imagine how hard that would be. You so clearly love him. I know this isn't useful advice, but congratulations on raising him in such a way that he knows he's yours. I think his needs and wants come above bio mom. You need to listen to what he's saying to you. That's putting his interests first. Family therapy or individual therapy if you think it could be useful. Sending hugs to you all. Not the asshole. She went and had another kid during the 6 years Arthur's lived with you. I'm sorry Gia was struggling when he was younger, but she was somehow still able to go live a life without him. It also doesn't sound like she's made room for him in her current home. That's not fair to Arthur. Not the asshole. He's your kid now. You are his mom. Yes. Gia might have had her reasons for not being able to care for him before, but if she wants to maintain some relationship with him, she's going to have to be the one making the effort. Ultimately, though, it's his choice on whether he wants any relationship with his biological mother. He can't be forced into it. P.S. Kids tell you exactly what they want and what they're not comfortable with. Maybe try listening and talking to him about the why. It's important you support it. No matter how silly it may seem to you, it's important to him. Not the asshole, but 12 yo is the threshold for kids sliding into their friends' and own life. They no longer just do as they're told. Going to need to find a compromise. This won't get easier. Y'all need to seek a family therapist. You need to 100 follow whatever that little dude wishes are. He's been jerked around enough by having such a fractured situation. Following whatever he wishes is really the only way to allow him to heal. Verbally support him. Tell him repeatedly there are no wrong decisions. That's very important. That's coming from someone that went through similar. Not the asshole. Tell her to get off her ass and come visit her kid. If Arthur doesn't want to go see her for the reasons listed, it would make sense for her to take a trip or two and inconvenience herself for once. Can you imagine how awkward it will be if you force him to go there now? Not the asshole. After the threat of suing for custody, I wouldn't feel comfortable letting Arthur visit alone. What if she refused to send him back? Not the asshole. I saw your replies. You're replying as a devil advocate in all of them. It's clear that you have the best interest of all parties. But someone will get hurt from this. And I'd rather the kid not being that someone. I think the best solution is for Arthur to talk to Gia via a phone or video call. Let them discuss this, with you as a moderator. All of Arthur's reasoning for why he doesn't want to go meet Gia is valid. Let her hear it from Arthur straight. There needs to be a video call. Given the distance with the adults of both households and Arthur, the communication needs to be crystal clear as to why he is choosing not to go. It would be hard and devastating to your relationship with Arthur to force this issue. That said, bringing everything to light calmly and honestly could start the process for change. She relinquished her parental rights, which means he's your son in every sense of the word. Meanwhile, let her come to him in his space. Give Arthur a chance to work though some of his feelings, not the asshole. As he is too young to realize the impact not having any bond with her. Well, he is old enough to realize his mom chose to give him away on the pretense she can't take care of him. Yet she can take care of her younger than him child. Put that on top of feeling singled out if forced to go to her. Stick with the decision your family of 4 made. I get that it won't be easy or very kind to your sister. But choices and decisions have consequences. Your child is more important than your stepsister. Not the asshole. Okay, so after finding out he doesn't have his own room or guest room to retreat in, that his bio mom is a full-time caregiver for a child, is it any wonder he doesn't want to go? Also, he may be pissed at his bio mom for giving him up and then starting a whole new family. I know I might be salty about that. I wouldn't make him go, but I would put him in therapy. I would also let his make video calls to Gia whenever he wants. Not the asshole. Gia can come visit Arthur where he feels comfortable. Isn't that most important? Gia? Arthur is the priority.